Hey everybody, we're back. Brand new Cabral HouseCall. First Cabral HouseCall of the weekend. Love being able to answer our community's questions, just like we do each and every weekend. Of course, if you're new to the show though, what we do on Saturdays and Sunday is answer about a dozen of the community's questions, 5 or 6 each day. Of course, these come out live on Saturdays and Sundays. There's no prep work. I get all of the questions in from the community and I try to answer them one by one as best as I can without going back, doing the research, just drawing upon essentially 25 years of practice. So without further ado, let's get into your questions. Let me open up the document, see what that first one is. The first one is coming in from Christina. And Christina says, my 7-year-old son had a strange episode at school that mimicked a stroke. The school nurse called and described my son's situation to me. His right leg, right arm, and right side of his face were heavy and hard to move. He was unable to articulate what was going on. Ended up in the emergency room where they had a CT scan. We followed up with an EEG a couple days later. All came back normal, and they are guessing he had a hemiplegic migraine because everything resolved with no residual effects. I'm curious what you know about these types of migraines and how not to experience any again. Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you for writing in, Christina. We appreciate you writing in, being a part of this community. So what I want to share with you is this. Similar to, let's say, a Bell's palsy, which is maybe, because there's not a direct connection, but potentially caused by a herpes-based virus, herpes-based flare-up, herpes zoster, etc. Hemiplegic migraine, for the most part, same, idiopathic, don't know exactly why it happens. Inflammation-based, affects the nerves, affects how the nerves then, what are called innervate the muscles on a certain side of the body. So this can happen with an impingement in the neck or part of the spine. It can happen with inflammation from the herpes virus. It can happen with inflammation from migraine-based issues. So until we know what's causing the migraine, the herpes flare-up, or whatever it might be, it's difficult to ascertain how to stop it from happening in the future. Now, I will say this, though. If we start to see trends, so does this happen after, because these are some real stories I want to share with you, but I can't say, again, I can't give you any medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical cures, or medical diagnosis. We have seen in our practice, because we've been doing this for quite some time, after kids go to soccer practice or they play outside in the morning, like recess, they'll come back and they'll have skin rashes or irritability or outbursts. And we're saying, what's going on? And they're playing on fields at school that have been sprayed with pesticides, herbicides. And as children, it's much more difficult for them to detoxify these things. You can actually look at it, and it's an absolute shame. They've done studies on this. The artificial turf fields for soccer, higher incidence of cancer in kids. So these are all very dangerous. Parents, of course, don't know about them because who's telling them? And so I don't know that, of course, this is happening to your son. This is just one cause. It could be severe, like a food-based sensitivity flare-up. It could be maybe they do have a herpes-based virus, which many children do, and other reasons as well. So until we can kind of find the correlation, oh, this is happening after this, and this event, we're not going to be, again, I would love to be able to say this is the exact reason, but you'll be able to figure it out. Hopefully this doesn't happen again. Hopefully this is a one-time thing. But if we start to see a trend, we look back and we say, what are the variables that may have caused this? And then we work on rebalancing those. All right, great question. Renta is up next. Hi, Dr. Ball. Thank you for your help. I'm a 38-year-old woman who's healthy, eat well, keep non-toxic products in the home, so toxic products out of the home, live 2 to 3 days a week. I've been dealing with this problem for over 2 years now. Don't know what else to do. I have not had any virus-based shots, we'll put it that way, and had the virus in 2021. During that week, I was sick. I had my period. The main symptom was extreme headaches. I don't know if it's linked to the virus, but since then, almost every period begins with a headache that can last 1 to 3 days. It's localized pain that I can pinpoint at the base of my head on the left side. It radiates up my head, over my forehead, and down my eye socket. I also need to urinate frequently when this happens. Sometimes it might happen the week before my period. Okay, so again, can't provide medical advice, but here's exactly what I would do. So let's say this was my wife experiencing these particular symptoms. I would, one, look at a neurological issue, and two, I would look at an estrogen dominance-based issue. So for the hormone imbalance, very easy. We're going to run the stress, mood, and metabolism test. And for a woman that's premenopausal, we want to run it on days 19, 20, or 21 of their cycle, when they might start to feel more bloating or irritability or lower mood or poor sleep or weight gain or any of the symptoms that they might have, okay? We want to run it on one of those days. Okay, so then we're going to figure out if it's estrogen dominance then, because it could be. Okay, the next part we want to look at, or any imbalance, but mainly estrogen dominance. The next part we want to look at is any neurological based issue. One of the reasons why I don't believe that it's neurological is that it only happens, like it only flares up when your cycle is about to begin a week or so later. And so it'd be tough to say, oh, this is a neurological impingement or neurological based issue when it's only coming up almost the same exact time when you're about to get your period in a few days or a week's period of time. So that's what I would look at. I would run that stress, mood, and metabolism test. You're always able to run the big five, and that's definitely something I would recommend. And then there's most likely some lower levels of inflammation. So we'll want to work on that, whether it's creating a gut rebalancing, whether it is working on your digestive tract, whether it's working on your omega-6s to omega-3s. So if possible, run the Big Five at stephencabral.com/Big5, or if not, just the stress, mood, and metabolism test. You can look all of these up just by going to stephencabral.com/shop. That'll take you right over to Equalife, and you'll be able to find everything in our practice. All right? Great question, though. Maria is up next. It is very difficult to find a biological dentist in Massachusetts. Can you provide a list? Yes. So the list for everybody, I think this is actually international. It's IAOMT.org. All right? IAOMT.org. And the biological dentist that I use in Massachusetts and my daughter uses as well is it's Harmony Dental, and it's on Tremont Street in Boston. And it's Dr. Yuko, and she took out my 2 mercury amalgam fillings way back in the day. Not way back in the day, but back in the day. And I always sent all of my patients and clients to her from my Boston practice. And then there's another great biological dentist practice in Groton, Massachusetts. Okay, so there's 2 for you right there. And then everybody else, IAOMT. All right, Drew's up next. Dr. Cabral, 2 years ago, I ran the starter kit and started on the daily nutritional support shake in the morning, and then I added the B complex in the afternoon, per the coach's recommendation. After a while, I noticed that taking the B complex in the afternoon would make me feel like I drank too much coffee, and I'd be on edge. I stopped taking the B complex and continued the DNS in the mornings. After about 6 to 9 months, I began to get the same feeling after my morning smoothie with DNS. Wanting to stay on a multivitamin, I went to a new company, Multi, and got that same feeling, like I drank too much coffee. I'm assuming that this feeling has something to do with the B vitamins. Can you help me understand what may be going on? Okay, so B vitamins are meant to help with stress, and they're meant to help with energy. That's 2 of the main things that they do. And so, yes, most people use the daily nutritional support in the morning, and if they need a little bit more, they take 1 capsule at lunch and 1 capsule at dinner. And many people just 1 capsule at lunch, because it does help with energy. Okay, so not a lot of people end up in your camp where you are now, but sometimes we call them over-methylators. And so although methylcobalamin and methylfolate and these types of things can be great, sometimes they can build up in the system, or even though they're just water soluble, and you can feel like you're getting a little bit too revved up. They help with energy, neurotransmitters, etc. This is rare, and the reason is that they're meant to be in and out of your body. And the daily nutritional support, it just has a normal amount, meaning like just a full activated multi with B complex. So what I believe, again, I can't give you medical advice. It's good to stop, just like you did, no doubt about it. But you may actually need not just the things that give you energy, but the things that also help bring you down. And so you might be someone that needs to use and could benefit from a little extra magnesium. So something like full spectrum magnesium. That might bring the balance that you're looking for. Or you may want to run what's called the stress, mood, and metabolism test. We actually just recommended that earlier, but this time for you, mainly looking at cortisol-based output. Your cortisol levels may be too high. And if that's the case, we will still use the DNS, but we'll actually be using our omega-3s, we'll be using full spectrum magnesium, and we'll be using a product called Adrenal Soothe. So that will then give you the balance that you might be looking for. So hopefully that's helpful, because the human body still needs B vitamins, needs all of these things, but you might not be excreting, removing these things or balancing them as well as you could be or should be. So hopefully that's helpful. And then again, at the same time, every once in a while, a product just isn't the right fit and just doesn't necessarily agree with you. And that's okay too. But it seems like even though you switch from Equalife to another company, the same thing still happens. So yeah, I think you're on the right track, Drew. I think it is maybe over methylating, and let's see how we can help to move those quicker through the body. All right, Erin's up next. Hello, Dr. Ball. Can you speak to EMF protectors for AirPods? I know the most ideal option is to use traditional headphones, but for those unwilling to forego wireless, is this a legit option? More specifically, would love a product review on Bodywell brand. Thanks. Okay. Well, I don't know anything about Bodywell, so I'm not speaking negatively about them, nor do I know any of their technology. However, what most people use for AirPods, the EMF protectors, do not help for what we worry about with AirPods. Okay, so let's say you put on an EMF blocker, you wrap it around there, right? And you test it and it's lowering EMFs. I get it and I understand that, right? But what we're worried about with AirPods, and I have a whole, so if you go to stephencabral.com/podcasts, just type in AirPods and you'll find my podcast on this. And if you ever can't find it, just write in at cabralsupportgroup.com. We'll find the show for you. I mean, we're happy to do that. We really are. And so what it does is it transmits a frequency through your brain, literally from one ear to the other, because your AirPods connect and speak to each other. So they're not going around your head. The frequency is actually going through your ears, through your skull, through your brain. So what we worry about is actually taking the AirPod, putting it into the head, right, in your ear canal, and then transmitting from one AirPod to the other. That's what we're worried about. And so what I always share with people is that wired is better. Ear tubes, even better. They just don't work for me. They literally do not stay in my ears. I cannot find a pair. I've tried like 4 different pairs. Can't get them to fit and stay in my ears, no matter what size I use. Just not enough weight to them, and they just won't stay in there. And the next best thing is one of the ones that transmit to a cord. So basically, they're connected from ear to ear, but it hangs around your neck and doesn't connect to your phone. So that's the next best option for people that want to go wireless, let's say, not connected to your phone, but not necessarily use the AirPods. All right. So it's a great question, Erin. If I ever find a better solution, happy to do that. But for right now, the AirPods are not independent. They connect to each other, and they send a frequency from one AirPod. Typically, it's the left to the right, I believe. And that's going to be dangerous for sure over time. All right. Thank you, everybody, for writing in. Appreciate you. I'm going to be right back tomorrow answering another 5 to 6 of our community's questions. Stay tuned. Have a great rest of the weekend. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.